Chapter 49. After months of being in the Young Justice universe, I was actually going to go out with a girl on a date. Well, with it being Galatea, I definitely snagged one of the better girls in the setting that wasn't a big titty goth girl. I told Galatea to wear something casual as neither of us was into super formal dinners or anything of that sort, so once she came out into the living room of the Hall of Justice I saw her. She was wearing a cleavage-exposing shirt that clung to her frame and matching skinny jeans I had to hold in a wolf whistle as I took her in. "You look good, Galatea." I complimented her and she smiled at the honest review, and then she took my arm. "Thanks, Jake, but let's get out of here. I am already hungry for the lunch you promised." Galatea spoke and I wanted to chuckle at the reminder of how low maintenance she could be at times due to her not connecting with Megan and Artemis about how girls should act around their man and just generally being a bit of a tomboy. "Alright, you guys don't make the mountain collapse." I yelled into the kitchen where the rest of the team were already making some lunch, but I had my own plans for our little date. Thankfully I was able to collect some cash off the league accounts Batman had set up for me and the other heroes who had issues making money legitimately, so I didn't have to worry about any costs during the date. Then I took Galatea into the Zeta teleporter, and we were spat out in the middle of an alley of a city in the far south that was a DC Universe-only city that had some lesser heroes operating in that I didn't remember off the top of my head, but either way, it didn't matter as me and Galatea were here for the carnival fair happening. Ooh, a carnival. I heard about this from Artemis. Supposedly the rides are janky as hell and people get thrown out of them all the time, Galatea said excitedly, and I saw a couple of people almost trip at her words, and give the loud machines throwing people around another look as though weighing on whether they wanted a chance to ride it. "Yeah. These likely won't throw you out," I muttered wryly, and hearing me Galatea seemed to actually deflate at the thought. It was like she actually wanted to experience the whole being yeeted out of one of the spinning top rides. "Anyway, I brought us here for the carnival food, because with our strong stomachs, we don't have to worry about anything and just enjoy the taste," I said excitedly as I pulled her over and got us both some coney dogs and most importantly some funnel cake. Needless to say, Galatea absolutely destroyed both plates of the funnel cake before I managed to finish my own coney dog, so I had to get my own plate and Galatea her own extra coney dog as I stole hers in recompense for stealing my funnel cake. "Tastes pretty good, but it's kind of expensive and not all that long-term filling, isn't it?" she said as she stretched and pulled her already taut shirt ever tighter before letting her arms drop down with a sigh of comfort at being full. "Yeah, you are right. But you only get the chance to pig out on carnival foods, like a couple of times a year if you aren't one of those weirdos who travel hours across their state or even past their state lines to reach another decent-sized festival or carnival." "Well, let's go get on the Ferris wheel at least. It's a staple for a date for a good reason," I said, taking Galatea's hand and leading her towards the indicated large wheel ride that would take us to overlook the bustling carnival. Thankfully the line for the Ferris wheel went by quickly, so we were able to get up and into one of the booths that we were able to comfortably share. As we rode up into the air with the ride's movements, and as we reached the peak of the ride, I couldn't help but realize something. I mean, sitting down is kind of cool and all, but wouldn't flying allow us to see the scenery even better? Galatea asked me guilelessly as she didn't really see the romance in the Ferris wheel itself. "It's a thing for normal people, I guess," I said wistfully as I took in the people walking around below us and with us on the ride. It made it seem so much more real than when we flew above them like gods. Because that's what we were to all these people. With a single max power zero or Galatea using her heat vision for a couple of minutes at most, the thousands of people here would have no way to resist us. My dark introspective thoughts were broken as Galatea squeezed my hand and I looked over to her and realized she had moved much closer to the point that our noses were almost touching. Then as she gently grabbed onto the front of my shirt, I knew what this moment called for, even if Galatea didn't see the normal romance in the Ferris wheel. Wordlessly I used my free hand to softly cup Galatea's cheek and bring her in closer, and then our lips met with Galatea humming at the act and I felt her hand tighten on mine and within my shirt. For the next couple minutes, we quietly made out until the Ferris wheel gave its customary soft honk as it warned its passengers to ready themselves to get off, as teenagers and young adults making out and getting a bit handsy on there is basically tradition. As I held Galatea next to me tightly by her waist, she was all but glowing as we strode out of the Ferris wheel, and then with that little barrier in our relationship broken, she certainly still had no problem with me holding her waist as she hadn't before, even in public or around the team. "That kissing was nice. Now what?" she asked, blushing a bit at the whole kissing bit, but she actually looked excited to see what came next, and I was honestly a bit stumped as normally it's supposed to be the guy who leads the girl into stuff despite saying how the girl was free to set the pace of the relationship. "Nope, Galatea was a tomboy, and if she liked something and it didn't hurt anyone, she seemed to have no problem subtly pulling me behind one of the carnival tents and wrapping her legs around me so she could fully wrap her own arms around my neck so I could her by her skinny jeans covered bottom, as I was quite a bit taller than her, so we could continue to make out. "We are doing this more in the mountain, right?" she asked after we broke apart our making out as a group of kids screamed on a nearby ride and reminded us of where we were. "I mean, yeah. Just not directly in front of the team or Wally and Robin will die of jealousy," I joked, making Galatea scoff before she wore an introspective look. "Wait, couldn't I just come into your room then? We can watch some terrible TV under some blankets and ignore it to kiss," she asked almost innocently if it wasn't for her smug smile. I rolled my eyes and gave her voluptuous bottom a firm spank that I was still holding, as I was still carrying her, with her legs wrapped around me more securely than any rebar ever could. If we do that, we will end up doing other stuff and that could lead to trouble," I said wryly, and Galatea deadpanned at me. "Jake Barris, I am an adult, I literally have a driver's license and so do you. If we fuck in your private bedroom, that's our business, and if anyone bitches about it, then I will kick them through a wall, as the damn toys Artemis recommended me got broken and I have an itch to scratch." Galatea all but ranted, making my eyes widen at the overload of information, and then I was reminded of the very clear reminder of Superman's Man of Steel and Woman of Wet Tissue Paper issues where Homelander killed the woman he slept with. Galatea seemed to be in the same camp, as she could literally pinch or crush a man's manhood during an orgasm if they didn't have some kind of super durability. "Alright Galatea, if you are comfortable with that kind of stuff, I certainly won't stop you," I said, giving her a quick kiss to make her deflate and giggle against me. In the end, Galatea was one of the hottest girls in DC, and once you get her to calm down, she was a good friend, and I did truly care for her. If she wanted to get into bed with me, her boyfriend, I am not going to refuse, because I thought she would want to take this relationship slow after we have been dating for a couple weeks now.